How's it, everybody? Welcome to this just reflection recording on task D of the 2022 APC. So this will just be a reflection on the pre-release documents, and more specifically, it's going to be document number 4. So as we see in document number 4 of the pre-release, we got an email from Ajira to us, the candidate, and basically the subject is big ranch with the attachment being the extracts from the management accounts. And so essentially we got an email saying, hi there, I believe Elijah provided you with some background regarding Fodjan's acquisition of Big Ranch. So up until this point, hopefully you've picked up that Big Ranch hasn't been doing well. Fodjan acquired them and they haven't been doing well, and there's plans to turn it around and to set it later. And it says the operational team is already working hard in improving profitability. And then it gives us reference to the management accounts. And then it says, I've started discussion with very potential franchisees to take over all the Big Ranch restaurants. It makes sense to sell all restaurants together rather than individually, since that would mean less work. And my discussion with potential franchisees have revolved around the following negotiation points. And so you'll just see in terms of my slides, what I've highlighted there is just things that stand out for me, which I will reflect on a bit further. If we move to the next slide, it says Fodjan paid a total of 14 million rands. This is the Namibian copy, but 14 million rands, 14.5. So we would want to recover at least this amount from selling the business to a new franchisee. A new Fodder's restaurant costs approximately 3.5, which includes for capital expenditure, and then hence 14.5 million for the 5 established restaurants would be a bargain. So essentially, in essence, what they're saying is if you think it's 3.5 million just for one restaurant, and if you multiply that by 5, it will take you around about 17.5 million. And they then say, to pay only 14 million would be a bargain. So that's that's the thinking there. And then it says Big Ranch will enter into new franchise agreements with Fodjan or renew the existing agreement for a further 5 years, but no joining fees would be payable. Okay. And so we see that there's a new agreement, and obviously if they're still in an existing agreement, there wouldn't be any joining fees. And then currently, Big Ranch from 2023 pay the normal 5% franchise fee and a marketing fee of 3% on its restaurants. I think currently it's roughly all other restaurants are paying, or currently Big Ranch is paying a lot less. I think it's 4% and 2%. But going forward, they would pay the normal fee. So in other words, same as everyone else is paying, except other than the discounted fee they're currently paying. And then it ends with, I'm going to ask you to assist with discussion with potential franchisees or buyers and to analyze the Big Ranch numbers ahead of these discussions. Alrighty, so then we are given the management accounts, and there's something just to stand out is that it's all historic figures, so there's no forecast, and that's also something just to keep in mind. If you're given forecast figures, immediately your brain should go, can I trust this forecast? So these are management accounts, and I know there might be a slight, can you trust the management accounts? But it's, hopefully one would think that management accounts based on historic figures would be reliable. It's our concern. Yes, it's not audited, but it is, but at the same time, it's not necessarily financial statements. So, but where we would definitely have our concerns up is when it comes to forecast numbers, because that's often where we just want to see if the numbers are reasonable. So what I'm saying here is we could probably just from a high level perspective, because it's past figures, be less skeptical about whether the numbers are reasonable here because they are past figures. Okay, then, but we're given some specific notes, and pretty much we told how revenue is made up, pretty much sale of meals, beverages for Big Ranch. Then we told the franchise fees were reduced to 4% to provide relief, and then also marketing bank contribution were reduced from 3% to 2.5%. Okay, so just to help Big Ranch turn their situation around. Then note number 3, that's just the fees that's paid to Fodjan. So that's the cost, and there's joining fees. Then what's highlighted there, you'll see drawings. The owner, previous shareholder, took paid himself a monthly amount classified as drawings. And just one would question, is that something you're going to do going forward if you were to take over Big Ranch? Then there's a loan, which obviously brings with interest, and interest is always an interesting thing from a whether it's a financing expense or operational expense, something to think about there. And then there are lease payments also that is being, we are told, is part of those management accounts. So in terms of the approach of just reflecting and sort of this reflection pack, some of you, a lot of you would be aware about the approach that I advocate for, which is the Socratic questioning method, which is basically just questioning certain things that stand out for you, and the questions allow you to think a bit deeper. So I'm just going to show you the things that I started thinking about just by highlighting some things from the text. And that's over here. So first thing that stands out, we talk about the acquisition of Big Ranch that was in the text. So immediately what comes to mind is, okay, if someone were to acquire Big Ranch, we acquired them, we probably now want to sell them. So, this starts to trigger valuations for me, because there's a possibility of, from a buyer's perspective, what price is reasonable for them, and from our perspective, what price is reasonable for us to charge. Then there's looking at to improve profitability at Big Ranch. So my question would be, how are you going to do this? You obviously first need to do some sort of analysis, and this would trigger some sort of analysis tools. So in terms of your math syllabus, where do you do, analysis? So think of financial statement analysis, your CVP analysis. So, that starts to come to mind, because if we're going to look to improve, we probably need to analyze first. Then it says it makes sense to sell all the restaurants. I just had a question that you say that, but is it true? I mean, at this stage, I shouldn't just be believing everything you say. So should I challenge that? And then you say 14.5 is a bargain. But again, is that true? Should I challenge it? And probably the best way to challenge it is to value it first. And then they talk about Big Ranch paying normal fees from 2023. Question I just had is, if Big Ranch is in financial trouble, wouldn't it help them to just pay the reduced fee for a longer period to help them turn around a bit easier? And then we're asked to assist in discussion with franchisees and buyers. So in essence, we're probably trying to attract franchisees and buyers. So what are the strategic things that you would use to attract them? That's I would reflect on that. And then it says we must analyze the numbers. That was the takeaway point, analyze the numbers. So what analysis tools do you have? Again, financial statement analysis, CVP analysis. Okay, so those are the analysis tools that we have from our math syllabus. Then just on the management accounts, the 3 things that kind of stood out for me, besides the normal things like sales and costs, those drawings. Is drawing sustainable going forward? Interest on loan, always interesting. Is it financing? Is it operating? Most probably not operating. And then the interest on the lease liability, again, is that, should just the interest be operating? Is it financing? Do we take the interest and the capital payment? So yeah, just question marks around that. May mean nothing, but it's worthwhile questioning it. All right, so then to end off with, and I think hopefully you guys see the approach, if we start to question these things, and hopefully start to trigger areas for us to reflect on. So here on the left, you'll see all the triggers that I have already sort of questioned. And then the next column is the areas. So if we go those first 3 triggers, I kind of grouped it to kind of show you the different lenses. Because so the acquisition of Big Ranch makes sense to sell all the rest, 14.5 a bargain. So that all kind of spoke to me about a need to put some value on something. So that's falls in our financial management strategy syllabus, because there's always qualitative decisions around these things. So I would probably need to refresh my memory on all the valuation models. So PE, EBITDA, DCF, dividend growth model. So because that's the models available for me to try and value a company. Then we never make decisions just based on numbers alone. So there's the strategic models or qualitative decision models. And there I would recommend the SAF model, which most of you heard me speak about. So in other words, is the decision suitable? Is it acceptable? Is it feasible? And then I've added the E for, is it ethical? And remember, these are just lenses which help you to come up with more things to say. Then just in terms of based on that, the anticipated task, classic APC, most likely is to critically review of evaluation performed or to perform evaluation. A lot of the times APC prefers to go with actually just giving you a call to critically review, but I mean, you could be asked to perform it as well. Okay, then the other grouping, looking to improve profitability, bigger entrepreneurial more fees, analyze the numbers. So this started speaking to me more about financial statement analysis, as well as some CVP, and if we need to do CVP analysis, we probably need to know what a variable and fixed cost is, so we need to know cost information. So therefore, in terms of updating your understanding in the pre-release period, it would have been helpful just to refresh your memory on variable cost, fixed cost, high-low method, all these things. Then obviously CVP, break even, cash operating break even, normal accounting break even in units, break even revenue. Can go further to the degree of operating leverage, all kind of fits under that CVP syllabus. And then of course, because we're just analyzing at a broad level, financial statement analysis or ratio analysis would maybe have been helpful to reflect on. And then in terms of anticipated tasks, so because we were asked to analyze the numbers, so perhaps on the day we could be expected to do some analysis of numbers, or analysis is done for us and we need to comment on it. And then in terms of the CVP, which we obviously in hindsight now know is what came up on the day, is to critically review a CVP calculation or to perform a CVP calculation, which was, as we know, asked on the day. And then last but not least, it's the trigger of assisting in discussion with franchise or buyers. That's a strategy area. And then just in terms of strategy models, qualitative decision-making models, again, the SAFE model is just a good starting point over there. And yeah, I think it would probably be because we're asked to reflect and assist with discussion. So, and the big thing here is we're wanting to either invite someone to buy Big Ranch or we want to invite someone to be a franchisee. So we probably need to think about what are the favorable factors for acquiring Big Ranch or being a franchisee. Okay. And hopefully what you'll see here is if your questioning of the pre-release is broad, what I've tried to do here, it helps you to trigger more technical topics, and that allows you to make it easier for you on the day, because as you know, on reflection, I think speaking to a lot of candidates, a lot of people were quite on top of the fact that valuations may be asked, but they didn't expect CVP. And so, of course, valuations was not wrong. It was definitely triggered. But they're not necessarily going to assess all the triggers. The important thing is that you must pick up all the triggers, be prepared for all the triggers, so that you're not missing a trigger. And I think what happened here a lot was people missed the CVP trigger. And I think it's because they didn't make the link that, and analyzing profitability, analyzing numbers, all of that is falling within the realm of analysis, which CVP is an analysis tool. So I hope you found this useful in terms of reflection, and looking forward to meet with you guys soon. Alrighty, bye.